Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies. We are a few weeks out of 2020, where we are all ready for this year to be over with. But anyways, first thing you guys can do when you watch Talk Junkies, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and hit the like button if you like what we're talking about. Tonight, we're going to get into some very interesting topics. Before we get into those topics, we do have an interview planned here in a couple weeks. It's going to be a great, not an interview. We have a great podcast coming up in a couple weeks with an individual I'm not going to talk about yet until it actually happens. So look forward to that. We do have a guest coming on here in a couple weeks. I'm trying very diligently to have a guest on the show. It is really dry out there in the email world. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm emailing 10, 20, 30, 40 people to try to get them to come on to Talk Junkies, and no response. But I am working very hard for you guys to have a guest on our show. But not unfortunately, but tonight we are guest list as well. Johnny,
which they've been going well, man.
They have, man.
They've been going good without the guest, honestly. Not that there's anything wrong. I'm just saying that, man, we've had solid podcasts.
We have. So check them out. If you guys haven't listened to it, check out our previous two podcasts. They've been extremely interesting. Deepfakes and subscription-based life. Tonight we're going to probably dabble a little bit into the second podcast where we're going to talk about the aspect of communication and how important communication is in life with human interaction and just having that aspect. Meeting someone face to face as opposed to having a conversation with them on their text, on their cell phone via text, or even an email or whatever you want to call it electronically. But we live in a day and age right now where whenever I was whenever I was in seventh and eighth grade, that I had my first cell phone. It was, one of those minute phones where you'd buy the phone, you put minutes on it, and you could text people and shit. And not only that, you could do instant messenger with the dial-up internet and shit like that. But that's the way of communication for me when I was in eighth grade, 12 years old or 10 years old or whatever it was. And it's only progressed into something more aggressive, more against communication face-to-face. I feel like we are entering into an age where we're not going to have any contact with people at all, minus your family. Am I wrong in saying that?
Some of that's probably the COVID talking, but you're not wrong. We are reaching a point where it's like, man, it even goes back as far as simple stuff like job interviews and applications and stuff. You used to be able to like walk into a place and shake the person's hand who would be like, and this is years ago, when this was already going out of style. You would walk into a place and say, hey, I'm interested in working here, blah, 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 and try to get, to talk to the people in charge and introduce yourself, and they get to see the real you and it's unfortunate, but it's true, we're judged within like a tenth of a second anyways. That's how the human mind works. But they would get to see the real you, judge you for what that's worth, and then go from there. As to where now it's all just online. You don't get to meet the person. You just see paperwork.
And that can't be good. That can't be good in the least bit. I think it affects all aspects of life when it comes to technology and communication with the human element.
Do you think it's mainly bad because it just separates people into categories even farther than what we already are?
Well, I think it allows for that. Whenever you're looking online for something that specifically entertains the idea that you have, you're able to interact with that community and only be involved in that community or that echo chamber or that tribalism aspect of who you are as a person, as opposed to going out there in the free world and just meeting people with different ideas and being a part of what they're about and learning different ideas, right? I mean, that's really how I see it.
I missed the last part of that.
Just specifically saying that we're entering a place right now where we're going to, if you go online, Jesse, like you just said, and you're looking for something that you like and that you want to be about, you can find that online and you can be a part of that community. You no longer have to interact with anyone else that's not in that community. So now you are in your own echo chamber without learning anything else in society or anything else that's involved within the community of the world per se.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that's a communication thing. I think that's more of a technology thing. But yes,
I mean, it plays with communication as well, because at that point, you're only going to communicate with the people that you want to be involved with.
You're
no longer going to interact with people that you don't want to interact with.
Which is bad. You need to interact with all sides of it because that's how you progress as humans, and you need challenge and adversity to do those kind of things. What I was specifically referring to with communication would be more so like when using online communication would be stuff like the fact that there is so much to communication that isn't just words. Like there's context and like body language and a whole bunch of different stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's not just words on paper. There's so much that we do whenever we talk to each other. Like even us talking right now, if we were to have these mics off and we're talking, like Jesse and I got into a little argument earlier talking about stuff. Like that argument that we had looks completely different over text message and has different end results than it does us actually talking in person and having that body language.
100%. The owner of the restaurant that I used to work for, he had said specifically, like, hey, I don't want to talk over text because people misuse the way that texting is. Like, people take it out of context, and it's not truly what a person really feels. So, yeah, I'm on board with that.
He was possibly also looking out for himself and the fact that he doesn't want anything on record in text.
Fair enough.
But that's also just a really good way to go about things, too. Like, you can't text somebody something and they don't see your emotions directly. Like, people are not good writers. Like, really good writers will be able to show emotion in their writing. Mm-hmm. 99% of people who are writing
we don't write like that.
We don't know how to show emotion in writing, and it comes up weird in text. And then it comes up to the party receiving it to decide on whether or not, you know, they get the judgment on, hey, this is how they feel about this, which you could go one way or the other, and then you end up getting caught up in the whole thing. So that's weird. Don't overanalyze things.
But that's what we do. Actually,
respond.
that's a perfect example. That's a perfect example, though, is that's how our brains work. We overanalyze stuff. So, like, let's say we've all had that text, drunkenly text someone or do something and whatever, and then, like, you get a response, and the response is, okay. The text message says okay. And then I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have overanalyzed it and been like, wait, does okay mean this or does okay mean this or blah, blah, which is ridiculous. Why are we overanalyzing it? But that's the way our brains work. But at the end of the day, if that had been an in-person conversation, the moment that they say okay, you know exactly what they mean.
Yeah.
And I'm using a weird roundabout way of describing what I'm talking about, but like I'm just saying in-person communication, what Jesse's talking about, portraying emotion, portraying body language, all these different things, you instantly know what the other person's talking about instead of you having to interpret it.
But, I mean, technology's allowed that to happen, though. I mean, because if technology didn't exist, then those conversations would have never happened. Right?
True.
And you wouldn't really even know. I mean, you wouldn't even have ever had that conversation, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Technology's weird, man. It really is. And when it comes to communication, didn't you want to go a little bit deeper than that, Johnny, though, as opposed to what you just said? I mean, do we want to break it down to when it comes to a period? Or
you're talking about grammar and hermeneutics and a whole bunch of other...
I don't necessarily want to go there, but what I'm saying is, and when it comes to the aspect of communication, I didn't know if you wanted to go down that road or not.
I mean, we can, or we can move on to something else. It doesn't matter. I think that people take those things for granted, though. I think that little stuff like, I mean, when you're in English class and they're telling you about commas and parentheses and periods and sentence breaks and all these different kind of stuff, like at the time you're just in class, you're like, I don't really give a shit. I'm barely going to pay attention. But at the end of the day, those are all really, really important things for how we communicate. Like incredibly important, especially when we talk about what we're talking about, which is taking the person out of the equation. When all you're reading is text on a line, and you've taken the person and the emotions and the body language and the context completely out of the equation, and you're just reading text on a line, all of a sudden, all of that stuff that we ignored in school becomes incredibly important.
It's very important. And like you just described, like to a lot of people, it wasn't important. So here we are with this massive billion upon billions of people on the internet just doing their thing, and those rules aren't applied for the most part. right? Maybe, I don't know what the percentage would be of people who actually use correct grammar when it comes to the English language that would use that when they're on the interweb here in the United States and having conversations with other people. But I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but I think you know where the road I'm going down. Like I don't think the importance of it was
maybe take something that somebody else says on like written online with a grain of salt before you go and start judging what they're saying. Because maybe your foremost thought of what they said is actually not what they were trying to get across to you. So maybe take it with a grain of salt, like a little bit.
And I think that goes for anything, any type.
That goes for even in-person communication.
Yeah, definitely. But in
person, you can really, really get down.
No, it's easy. It's easier. It's easier in person for sure.
Are they lighthearted? Are they being aggressive? You can tell by eye contact, all other things. It's better in person.
But what the internet has allowed social justice warriors to come in and just take charge of those type of interactions. And then you have people who are just like blah 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 blah. Like no. You know what I'm saying? Like
do you think that there are people out there that are specifically trying to be offended?
100% they are, because they're online, they're social justice warriors, and they want it their way, but it's easier to type on a keyboard and say, hey, this is the way that I want it. It's absolutely truth, and there's no other way to look at it. 100%, man. You can go to a local level, get on your local Facebook city where you live in, and just look at the type of people that are typing within that own community and see the ideas that they want to spread. And it's all happening on a level of Facebook, not actually going to a city level and changing the actual city, but they're doing it on Facebook.
I think maybe that's the problem too with online interaction and anonymity and all that, is that you have all these people who would never say anything in person, but now that the internet exists and they're allowed to say it online, they'll say everything. But the problem is now all of a sudden we're analyzing, and I mean we as in everybody in existence, is analyzing this information they're taking online, all these comments and stuff, and taking them seriously and taking them to heart when you shouldn't, because guess what? In a real face-to-face conversation, those would be thoughts in their head and nothing they would ever actually say out loud. There would never be any semblance of importance there.
So that never bothered me as an individual. That never personally bothered me. My real big issue is within myself in what I say, and I'm always my biggest judge whenever it comes to that. Like, so if there's a platform in which I could speak on, let's say Facebook, and I say some shit, and then I get ridiculed for it, it's never the people who say that, but I'm like, oh man, those people feel negatively about me, and then now I need to fucking... It has nothing to do with the subject. It's mainly about the people feeling negative towards me.
But they would have never... You would have, if you said it in person, you would never know they felt negative, because they would have never said those things out loud.
I don't know if that's constructive or not. I don't know. It's always a weird complex for me. Like, because I know what I believe in. Everybody knows what they believe in. You don't really waver from that, even though I say that on a bunch of these podcasts that, you can...
You adjust over time. Your beliefs can change gradually.
But that it can be hard. And whenever you have a wave of people coming in, and maybe it's exposure. Maybe it's an exposure kind of thing to where, man, I'm exposed to so many people who are telling me that I'm wrong. And that, man, that can be hard. And maybe I don't want to be exposed to that.
That's deep right there. Yeah. That's some deep shit.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's why you wouldn't get that if you were just having a regular conversation.
That's true, but one-on-one, and then I get to develop between me and you.
Right.
So if I have a Discord with you, and I'm like, hey, I don't agree with what you're saying here, and you're like, all right, let me try to go in more in depth with what I feel about this. And I go, okay, let's talk about it. And then we talk about it. But then if it's on the internet, then there's this wave of people, which if people who agree with me, they'll just agree and then just be like, oh, I agree, and then move on. But then the negative on it, I get like blasted with the negative, and then now I'm like, holy fucking A, am I really doing this right? am I really walking this life right? Like, it's so much heavier getting scrutiny from your peers. And we're all peers to each other,
Yeah.
regardless of race, religion, whatever it is. And it becomes a bigger thing. And you, once again, you're on a platform, like we're on a platform right now, which scares the fuck out of me. Still doing a podcast and talking into a mic every Sunday scares the fuck out of me. Especially talking about religion, like it scares the shit out of me because I worry about scrutiny. I worry about whether or not I'm putting people on the right path, or am I saying something wrong, or am I doing something right? I don't fucking know. I don't want to, set people on the wrong path. That's the last thing I want to do. But I don't. Am I on the right path?
Yeah, man, we're definitely
like
on
this.
the right path.
It's heavy. It's heavy fucking mentality. I haven't even smoked weed tonight, guys. I haven't even fucking smoked any weed. But no, it gets heavy. And you have to try to decipher, who you are, the scrutiny that's coming in. We're in such a weird place at time in society of, man, this is my platform that I stand on. This is what I speak on. And then who receives me well? And if I'm not received well, then I'm shunned. And then I look like an asshole. Only to, realistically, like 12 fucking people. But I hate myself at the end of the fucking day because I'm like, 12 people fucking hated me.
Yeah, that's
so
not...
I'm like, oh my God, I need to readjust my fucking life to the 12 fucking people that negatively receive me. Like, I don't know.
That's the whole point, though, is you shouldn't adjust your life to those 12 people who negatively receive you.
But it's hard not to. It's hard not to within how...
But think about the psyche of where it comes down to the point of what we're talking about specifically in the instance, Jesse. Like whenever you have those interactions, when someone's negatively commenting on something that you post, those interactions were never really available.
That's what I'm saying. They're not real interactions because they would have never happened in person.
But you break it down to a level of the amount of endorphins that people receive. And how hand in hand it's
so hard.
Yeah, that like
so hard.
It's
scary.
What's crazy to me is the fact that human beings, they receive this technology so well, and maybe it goes hand in hand with what you guys talk about, that we're going to transform into robots or AI or whatever you want to call it. That it almost seems inevitable for the fact that whenever this exists and we can all communicate on a level when there's 7 billion people on this earth. And you read a comment, and there's endorphins in your brains going off that like it. Subconsciously, you have no idea that you like it, but it's happening, and you enjoy it while it's happening.
So if there's a moral. What you're saying,
if those interactions never existed, where would you be? Where would you be? Those endorphins would have never been there. You would have been doing something completely different, maybe. As opposed to being on Facebook on that post that you would have made that night, you would have been on your farm, and you would have been tending your farm, and you would have had no interaction.
Which would have been better.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, you run into this, like, really hard hurdle that you have to cross as an individual. Being like, am I being socially accepted because what I'm saying is right, or is it just the mainstream? Or... Am I being ridiculed on the same level because I'm doing what's right? And it's easier to hurdle on one side by being socially accepted. It's a really hard thing. I don't know what the fuck
it really is.
It
really is a hard hurdle. You're completely right, because that's the day and age that we live in. Those hurdles exist, and whether or not you want to jump over those hurdles is completely up to you as an individual, because we still do live in America and it's still free. But damn, man. Facebook, Twitter, Parler, all these technologies and ways to communicate with people are insane.
I feel like I'm feeling a weird thing I shouldn't be feeling right now. If you really step back and look at it, everybody loves acceptance, but we hate scrutiny on the same level, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a really weird thing socially to handle. And I think what happened is we got thrown technology into our fucking dick, and we're like, we don't know what the fuck to do with it. I'm like, oh my God, I can be socially accepted and ridiculed at the same time. Like my fucking aunt can fucking see pictures of me at Missy B's with me with a, you know,
Tranny?
a fucking drag queen, and I'm like having the time of my life, and they're like Republican as fuck, and then all of a sudden I get ridiculed for that shit, and I'm not homosexual, but I will always back up homosexual, you know, like gay people need to be able to be married, even though that's a joke too. Being married is a joke, but not to go off on too much shit.
Right.
But I'm like, man, you go too hard on that shit. There's so much scrutiny that comes in with that, and it's so you were in the limelight whenever you get online, and we need to be more careful with that. And I avoid it. But yet, I'm doing a podcast now.
And regardless of the fact if you avoid Facebook
know,
or you avoid any of that things, or avoid any of those platforms, it's always going to exist, and these things are always going to affect people's lives, right? And I think that it's very important that we're shedding light on it right now, and the subjects that we're bringing up are very important.
So at some point, so probably the biggest thing is, where do your morals come into play within all that? Are your morals in play with what you put online?
When people get on Facebook or get on Twitter or Instagram, there are no morals involved in making a post. Like, you're literally just typing what's going through your head, whether you're drunk or you're sober. People aren't thinking it through with morality.
No filter, no repercussion of being punched in the face, nothing there.
Right.
Do you think people deserve to be punched in the face at some point in time?
Yeah.
I agree, too. I mean, I wouldn't do it personally. I would talk to them.
No, you would personally punch someone in the face if they said the right thing, or the wrong thing, I should say.
Man, just the right thing.
Yes, there are things, you know for a fact, there are things that people could say to you where you would punch them in the face.
But
every person has those.
At the same time, within saying that someone could be deserved to be punched in the face because of that type of environment, it's also brought into our light just a lot of funny people. There's a lot of funny people out there who are just on, type warriors, whatever you want to call them, that make some really funny gestures. Like, I would never know those funny people existed. So I guess there's a lot of good things too that come out.
Yeah, there's upsides as well.
Yeah, man. But I think when it comes down to like the semantics of it, or if that's even a word, I don't know. But like the machine, the machine that's happening right now, I think it's overwhelmingly probably more negative than it is positive.
I think the big thing is that I think the biggest difference is, let's say you say something, Paul, and then someone replies to what you say on Facebook. You should take their reply in text on Facebook, this random Facebook friend of yours. You should take it with 10% of the drive or whatever that you would from someone saying it to you in real life. Because it's so easy to type out that response online. No repercussions, no second thoughts, no editing, no filter. You're just like, whatever. They don't go through that process that they would if they're having a real in-person conversation with you. So for those of you out there, when you read something online that's replying to you, whether you're doing YouTube videos or Facebook posts or Twitter or whatever it is, when you read someone replying to you and it's like negative or whatever, don't take it directly to your heart, because realistically, it's probably something that would never been said to you
if it didn't exist.
If it just in person.
Right.
If it was an in-person conversation.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy for me is that anything that could be said on me online about somebody who heard whatever I said in the past, like, almost 3 years of us doing this podcast is not even close to what I told myself in my own head. Like, so you can go on ahead and try me. Like,
right.
Go on ahead and try me on that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from there.
It could get
but it almost becomes undevelopmental at some point whenever you can just lash out at somebody and try to. I'm not putting them on a troll level, I mean, unless they have like.
So I'm saying it's not real.
Gag.
Like you're saying it's undevelopmental. That's what I'm saying. It's not real. It's not real conversation.
There's
it's not real talk.
There's no progression with it, especially on the human aspect or on the evolution level. There's no evolution through these types of behaviors when it comes to the human being.
But we honestly, human beings are very pliable to our environment, which is why we survive. But technology works faster. We will be pliable to it and continue on. Shit on me all you want. Like I'll be like, okay, I thought about that about like 4 years ago, and my mother said
Catch
that
up.
to me.
Catch
and
up.
and my mom said that to me. So,
But that's just on
I was already I'm already talking to my therapist about it
That's-
for like 2 fucking years.
That's
so.
on a scale of one
Good
person,
for
though.
you.
That's on a scale of one person. You have to understand that there are 4 billion people interacting every single day on these types of platforms, and the implications are probably very.
So what's the best way to go about it?
I'm not necessarily. I
Be
don't.
respectful to other people. Don't be an asshole.
Like you said, technology is thrown at us at a very fast rate, and basically Facebook, Twitter, all this shit was thrown upon us, and then we're just going with the flow kind of thing.
I think,
and we talked about it before we actually started the podcast, and that's when you and Johnny got into an argument. Should there be regulations upon what's happening with these big tech companies, right? And I'm not necessarily wanting to go down that path in any way, shape, or any way at all, but. You see what I'm saying, man?
You gotta do a shot.
I didn't say it.
He's got to do a shot.
The implications of this big tech society are massive. It's massive. It's the biggest mountain in the world, or the biggest mountain on Mars. Like, it's huge, man, and it's
scary.
I think
scary big.
it's undermining.
Scary big.
It's undermining.
Scary big.
It's undermining the human experience. It truly is, because I know I would have never met that person if online didn't exist, and I couldn't get online. I couldn't meet that person. I get that. But if I were never online, imagine the amount of relationships I would have met within the people in my own community, and how much better my community would be if online never existed. Like I said, and I've said this in many podcasts, we have gotten away from family and we've gotten away from community. None of us are involved in our community because we would rather be online. We'd rather be doing these things and going. As someone who's across the world, or someone who's in Texas, or someone who's in Alaska, saying, you know what, and they say, fuck you, and they're talking about exactly what you were just saying, like just undermining who you are as an individual, as opposed to not even getting online if online didn't exist, and bettering your community. Sorry, I know I just circled, but
there have been so many like suicides just because people said some shit online, and they're just trolling people, and they're on their last fucking. And they're online trying to fucking find friends, and people shit on them. And they're trying to just be themselves. And they're like, oh, go fucking kill yourself. Online bullying is horrible. It is so fucking bad. Like we don't see it. Like we grew up in a generation where we would say some shit on like. We kill a motherfucker on Call of Duty, and we were like, "Hey, man, I fucked your mom." Like, we said that shit, all jokingly, but realistically, like, people get online bullied so much, and they're only what we cannot grasp that because we are not isolated enough. Like, I'm very blessed to have fucking friends and family, and I have beautiful people around me, but there are people who don't have that, and they get bullied and get told horrible things online, like go fucking kill yourself, and they actually fucking do, because the one outreach that they're trying to do is online and being like, hey,
it's very true. There have been people who have those type of thoughts. They can experience the online world and meet people that they wouldn't necessarily meet within their own community. I get that. I completely get that. So there are positives to having the online community and being able to speak out and have conversations with people, but is it overwhelmingly negative is the question.
I don't think it's about negative or positive. I think it's about the level of... I'm trying to think of what to say here. So you said take it with a grain of salt. So whatever you want to call that scale, however many grains of salt, I should take whatever you say to me, Paul, in person, I should take with 100 grains of salt, as to where what someone says online, I should take with a single grain if there was a scale. You get what I'm saying? My point is the communication that you're experiencing online is less important and should be, it's not always, but it should be to you less impactful than the communication you're having in person. If you hold the value of the opinion of a random person online who is speaking without a filter and without any kind of like emotional whatever there and just typing it out, and you don't get the body language, you don't get all this other semblance of stuff that's happening, that should be taken less to heart than the stuff that is said in person in any kind of communication.
I get down on that.
Man, it's all good up until you don't realize another person's position.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not like victim blaming here or saying anything like that.
a weird scenario. So I'm gonna play this out for you guys. I play a game called DayZ, which I really like. Everybody here should play DayZ.
Nah.
Nah. Johnny can fuck off. DayZ is a fucking great game. You can play this fucking game, run around, gather guns and shit, and then come across another individual and then talk to them. And then if you want to shoot them, you can shoot them. Man, it's a weird moral scenario you come into within the game. It is a really weird, heavy scenario. Do I kill this fucking guy right now? Or do I try to befriend him? Or, like, I tried to let a guy up. I literally tossed my controller up. Because I let him up. I was like, hey, man, I'm not taking anything from you. I literally shot him down. I shot him down. Snuck up on him. I was like, hey, I'm gonna grab X, whatever I'm going for. And then right when he got back up, blasted me. And he was, like, laughing in my fucking face. And I was like, never again. Never again. Now I'm fucking evil. And then fucking... No, I don't ever do that.
It's a video game, man.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You should take that with a grain of salt, meaning even his kindness. His version of kindness.
No,
meaning like,
my version of kindness.
No, I'm saying...
I shot him, and I didn't kill him. I allowed him to live in the fucking room, and I was like, hey, man, I'm going to let you live, but I'm gonna scrape
Jesse,
up your shit.
Jesse, that's not what I'm saying. When I say his version of kindness, I mean his kindness of being like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah, like, help. Thanks letting me up, and I'll run away, and blah, blah, blah. And then you should take that with a grain of salt. You should know that there's a chance that he'll betray you because it is a video game and because it's not real life. There are no real consequences like there would be if something similar, not that anything similar to that would happen, if you were out at a bar talking to someone in person.
Very true.
Weirdly enough, I bet you it would coincide closely to how they interact in a video game.
You're probably right. It's most likely that we'd have to see some
I get it.
studies
You're
to
playing a
suggest
role.
this,
You're playing a role. Like if you're playing a
but
role.
you're playing a role on the internet too. Whenever you're typing and making
like I'm
comments,
playing
for
a
the
role
most part.
right now. Like I'm playing a role right now. Like I could steal from you right now if I really wanted to. I could fucking steal from you.
Yeah.
Will I steal from you? No.
So I don't know. The overarching subject right there is I don't know. I mean, like when it comes to the point of communication, when it comes to social media, I guess is what this whole subject has been about. Is it really good for the progression of the human being or the human psyche, or is it not? Is it in the middle?
No, it's beyond us. That's the issue, is that social media has form-fitted us into categories, and we are not ready for this fucking shit yet.
I completely agree with that. I don't think we're ready at all.
No,
I don't think we're ready in the slightest bit to be involved in this kind of...
We're completely fucked whenever it comes to this. Like, technology has already... Whatever... I talked about, like, force-coupled ideas or force-coupled technologies whenever it comes to this shit. Sorry, guys. I'm fucking a little drunk. Chiefs won tonight, but...
It's a good Chiefs game.
But
Yeah, it was
I will
okay.
say this. No, we are already on the backtrack of this whole thing, and technology is outpacing us. We biologically cannot keep up with this, and we'll attempt it. We'll attempt.
I think
it
I think you're backtracking though, honestly, because and this again, this is just my opinion, but earlier you said that it was just thrown into our laps, but now it's surpassing us. So there wasn't really any room to do anything at all. So we never even had a chance is basically what you're saying. I disagree with that. I think we had a chance. I think that social media came upon us, and it was maybe necessarily in the wrong way, but people in the United States at least have free will, Johnny, like you and I talked about, and we were all aware of the implications of what is going on. Maybe not necessarily in the moment, but over time we realized it, and we still all comply with it, and we do it. We never once stand up against it. I'm sure there are people who are, but the overarching amount of people within the United States are completely okay with it. And they're going to continue to do it. And like you said, Jesse, it was thrown upon us. We took it. We're like, hey, we like it. We're going to try it. And then now we see how negatively it affects us. Granted, there are positives, but more negatives because you see the state that...
And we continue to do it.
Yeah, and you see the state that the U.S. is in right now when it comes to division. And we've allowed these we've allowed these multi-corporations and media conglomerates, and we've allowed these people and these big tech companies to do this, and we haven't changed shit. So we're okay with it. So it's not that it's over our head and it's just surpassing us. We're just like, you know what? We're not going to do anything about it. We're just going to continue to just go with the flow. That's us. That's the United States. We're going with the flow, man, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's just people in general, but yeah.
But we all had an opportunity to take a step and say, hey, we're not okay with this. Because that's what allegedly the American dream or the 1776 Constitution is all about, is the fact that we have the power to do that. We have the power to step in and say, hey, what? Facebook, Twitter, all these big tech companies and big corporations. And you're like, no, we're going to step in. We're going to be like, hey, no, we need to do this differently. We never once did that. The small amount of people who did got locked up. They probably died, got killed off. Who knows? But the overarching amount of people just go about their day to day. It's crazy, man.
Which is why it comes back to, as much as I agree with you, I also agree with what Jesse said about the fact that it's beyond us, as in it is going to, due to the way that we are as people, due to the fact that we go with the flow. It's a human thing, due to the fact that we're not fighting back and we're going with the flow and we're accepting this technology and we're clicking, I accept the terms of service, I accept the terms of use, blah, 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 without reading any of it, and we just go with everything. Due to that, we're going to continue to follow that path, and it's going to continue to evolve. And therefore, it is past our control. It's going to keep spiraling.
But is there never a moment where you think in your head that we do have control?
Oh, no. You know my thought on this.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, that's the craziest part, is the single fact that we have control of consent and we all have the opportunity. And it would be really hard to do, but we have all the tools necessary to do it, is say, no, like, we're not going to do it. But that's just not going to happen. That's not in the cards, man. That's the craziest shit. That's the craziest thing. And I think that's what fuels social media is that in itself. Because if we all stopped and did it, yeah, it would be one big story. It would be the biggest story ever, right? But after that, it would be harmony. Maybe not harmony, but it would be a little bit better than what
40 million people stopped using Facebook on December 7th.
That would be huge. That would be huge. That would be massive. I don't know, man. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about social media and its impacts on the impacts of society and who we are now and how we're going to progress? Let us know in the comments below. But we're going to hit a segment real quick. We're at the 40-minute mark right now. Philosophy. I like hitting this philosophy shit. I know Jesse's on a short leash right now. Not like
what does that mean?
I'm
not a short leash, but I know.
not like JD.
But again, the Chiefs did win tonight. It was a close game against the Broncos. Should never have been that close. But anyways,
should not have been that close.
We're gonna hit some philosophy questions, man. This is probably my favorite part of.
I like this part. I like just talking philosophy.
Yeah, Talk Junkies. This is my favorite part, man. If you guys like it, let us know. Hit that like button if you guys like the philosophy. So Jesse, my first question tonight would be, as I crack a beer open, would you kill 10 people to save one?
Oh man, that's like the railroad fucking thing.
It's not the railroad. I'm just asking you, would you kill 10 people to save one?
that is like the
I'm just
railroad
asking that question, though. I'm not asking anything about railroad.
That's
I'm not talking about railroads. Okay? Would you kill 10 people to save one?
Maybe.
Okay. That's your answer, Johnny?
Yes.
Okay.
It depends on who that person is and who those 10 people are.
It's very true. The question is very vague.
You're literally talking about the railroad switch.
No, he's not. He's not. I mean, I said he was too, but no, he said, would you kill 10 people to save one? Yes, I would kill 10 people to save one. If 10 robbers or whatever, home invaders came in and it was to save, my daughter, yes, I would kill those 10 people to save my daughter.
So it's scenario based.
Okay. Very easy question to answer philosophically. Maybe not easy, but it's just a very quick moving question. Here's the next one. Is there such a thing as free will?
No.
Yes.
Jesse?
No.
Why not?
No, there is no such thing as free will. The reason why there is no such thing as free will is because we all grew up in our scenario. Free will is a lackadaisical mentality. Like free will, like I am who I am because of just me. Like because of just me, no
I
way.
What you're saying, it's not 100% free will.
No,
There are definitely
okay.
dividing factors there.
So I met Paul back when Brock Smith back in his house, like sneaking in through the fucking... No. There is no such thing as free will. You find yourself in scenarios. Everything else in my religious experience is the universe and how everything interacts with each other and how we interact with... I'm doing such a fucking poor job at this. No, there is none of that.
Johnny?
I think that there is free will in the sense of, while I agree with Jesse that a lot of it has to do with your upbringing and the stuff around you and everything that's happened throughout your life, all your experiences, that would be the best way to put it. All of your experiences make you are, and you could even go as far as saying chemicals in your brain determine decisions you're going to make. But I believe that at any significant point in time, like right this second, yes, you have free will. You have the ability to do whatever you want at this moment. Nothing can stop you except your own thoughts, which is up to you. It's about your level of willpower and commitment, though.
Sounds good.
When I think of the question, is there free will? I feel like
free will sounds good to me.
Yeah,
free will sounds really good to me, and I'm all about free will. But at some point in time, you're just like, man, I really just roll on this.
You can do whatever you want.
So my biggest, okay. So predestination makes sense to me because I cannot affect my past. I cannot affect my past, and I have a future. Why do I think that my point in time right now, and which is the most important, is right here and now, me affecting this ever affect my future? Why would it ever change? It's going to be what it's going to be. My past is the same as how my future is going to be. In some...
I disagree.
But if predestination is... If it's predetermined, if you truly... I'm not saying it's not predetermined, by the way. I'm saying that if you truly believe it's predetermined...
Nobody likes to think you're predetermined.
No, listen to what I'm saying.
Nobody likes to think that.
If it is predetermined, which it may be, by the way, I'm not saying it's not. If it is, it is what it is. But I'm saying if you, as an individual, truly believe that it's predetermined, then you would have no drive to do anything. You would stop everything.
It has nothing to do with belief. It has to do with actually what's important, which is the moment.
You're just not listening to what I'm saying. That's cool too, though.
All right, cool.
I think when it comes to free will, and this is just my opinion, does it exist? I think it completely does. Are you shaped at a young age to be a certain way? That's a possibility, but you do eventually turn into an adult, and you can create your own thoughts and be your own person.
No,
It's
crazy.
When it comes to free will, I think it honestly depends on what country you live in. Especially here on the earth that we live on, there are certain countries where free will probably doesn't exist. Maybe it does in the aspect of your own time and your own confinement, that you have free will in that instance. But in my instance, I do have free will. And I think that there could be multiple outcomes. It doesn't necessarily have to be predetermined. Living here in the United States, because in my opinion, this is the greatest country, because I am able to exercise free will, that I could have multiple different paths. And I see that every day whenever I wake up and I choose to do what I want to do. Could I sleep in a little bit longer? Yeah. Could I wake up, drink some coffee, and maybe be productive in that day and do something completely different? 100%. And could it change the outcome of my life? Yes, it could. Free will exists in the United States, and that's what makes it the best country on earth. That's my answer. So I'll go to the next one.
I guess that's why they're philosophy questions, because there is no right or wrong.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's a weird one.
Is there such a thing as absolute mortality?
Oh, Jesus.
Or morality. Sorry, morality, not mortality. Morality.
No.
Is there such a thing as absolute morality? Sorry.
So what you're talking about is absolute truth. Like a truth to things. Man, this is where religion stems from. Heavily. Absolute truths and absolute morality. I am simply a human being. I cannot answer this question. I'll pass it off.
I can move on to the next question. We don't.
No, because that one is, do I have everything right?
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
I
Does
literally morally I can't.
does nature or nurture form a person's personality?
Both.
Honestly, the better question is which one shapes one more, nature or nurture?
That is a good question. Which does more? Because they both form a person's personality.
Obviously, but which one does more? And I think nature. I think nature does 100%. I will argue this. I mean, I think you see this in
So you're
society.
saying genetics are more than nurture?
No, I think it's it's societal.
That would be nurture then.
No, nature.
No, that would be
Nature.
nurture. Nature is genetic. Nature is the moment you're born, it's already predetermined. Genetics. Nurture would be everything you learn and experience, which would be society and cultural.
Yeah. Okay. So nature. So nature.
Nurture.
So my bad. Good for you.
Okay, so we could do one of the last. There's a couple more questions I want to ask. I don't really understand the question of nature and nurtures right now, so I'm not going to go down that road. But here's my next question: what is freedom?
This is hard for people. This is the big one for me. People are all about their freedoms up until you talk about other people's freedoms who are not in line with their freedoms. And then you go, oh, it's not freedoms anymore. This is your life in line with mine.
I agree with Jesse on that one, 100%.
I'm doing a really shit job on this. Sorry, guys. Freedoms are, as what the word almost Webster Merriam like dictionary definition says, is an absolute freedom of how they think. And it has nothing to do with you or me. It has to do with them. What do they feel is being free? This is where libertarianism comes in really, really fucking heavy. Man, I have this issue all the time. When do I get to say that I want this and want to be free, but I decide that this isn't freedom for them? Freedom is all things. So whatever you think you can do, so should they do. And also, what they do, you should be able to do too. But that's so difficult in our culture. That is so unbelievably difficult.
So culture has an effect on what freedom could be.
Oh,
Oh, for
absolutely.
sure.
But
absolutely.
so my idea of
So
freedom, my idea of freedom. Sorry,
No,
I'm
get at it.
gonna hit this
Get
real
at it.
quick. Is let me do me, and I'll let you do you. As long as it doesn't harm me, and as long as you don't harm me and I don't harm you, that's freedom. That's as simple as it can get for me.
What about the kids? What about the kids with abortion? Now you're affecting other people, technically. Where do you handle
We've
that?
always had this discussion. Abortion is the one
I know,
weird gray
but this-
area.
this-
That's the one.
no.
That's the hardest one to answer.
But this is the one that always gets brought up.
Okay, so here's another. Hold on. Here's another question.
Everybody on the podcast right
Here-
now who's
here's-
watching this, Paul gets to give his opinion on abortion.
Here's the question, and my wife made a good point.
And he has two beautiful daughters
Thank you.
now.
Thank you very much.
They were running around today, cracking me
Adorable.
up. So cute. So fucking cute, man.
Thank you very much for that, man. And my wife, this is coming from my wife. I'm talking as my wife right now. But she made the good point when it comes to abortion is the fact that once that connection has been met of the sperm cell and the embryonic egg or whatever you call it, or whatever it is, that whatever happens, and once that life is created, that is life. So who has you know what I'm saying? Obviously, that people can abort that life, or they can get rid of that life, and that life is completely gone. And is it truly life? But once we've all been there, us three right here, we've been that part of life. Is that okay? That's the question, right? Like that's the biggest question.
See, this is that's why it's such an issue. Is because you have to say where. You have to scientifically draw a line, and who can say when. You could say it's the moment that the sperm enters the embryo. You could say it's, 2 months before that when your dad jerked off. You could say it's 3 months after that.
No.
When
the sperm meets the embryo and whenever it's that connection and it turns into an actual life.
That's what I'm saying. Who knows when it actually turns into life? It just depends how you define it.
No, when it's in the woman and it actually turns into an actual like living cell and it's in the woman's stomach and it's an actual like the size of a pea. You know what I'm saying?
But isn't an embryo have living cells?
I'm almost willing to redact my statement that I've said earlier on these podcasts whenever I said it's up to women, and it is still up to women. But I need society to be held accountable for if you're pro-life. Let me say, I feel like this is more impactful. In society, if you can say, I am pro-life, 100%. Well, you make sure that they're born, but then you just toss them off on the side of the street. And you do nothing fucking for them. They have no opportunity. They're in a horrible fucking scenario.
Don't try and put an angry picture on that, Jesse.
Then they're not pro-life.
No, hold on. Hear me out on this. I am 100% pro-life is if every Republican who's ever voted pro-life to now be accountable for those lives and make sure that they have good education, a good fucking household, good fucking healthcare, good fucking standing to where they can make their way in this fucking world. I am so fucking tired of I am pro-life and I will fucking fight against women who have been in struggle, and I will disregard every ounce of their fucking body and all that. That's fine. But once they're born, no, we toss them to the fucking road, and now they're just a fucking street fucking rat. I'm done with that. If you decide you're pro-life, it is life.
But they have life.
No. Hear me out on this.
No,
fucking hear me out on this. I'm so fucking over this. If you are fucking pro-life, you are from beginning to end. Not just, they're babies and they're fucking cute like puppy dogs, which is what Republicans fucking view them as. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
How Republicans fucking view them as is fucking puppy dogs. And then, oh my God, no, you cannot abort this fucking child. So we need to make sure that they're born, and oh my God, they're cute. And then once they're fucking like 7 years old, like mixed fucking babies. No,
I've heard you out, bro. I've heard you out.
No, I'm gonna continue. I'm so fucking over this. To where now you get fucking we don't give you anything. No, work for your shit. Oh my God, it's so hard to get a job. Oh man, you have to reduce yourself to crime. We're
all involved in that.
No, I'm so fucking over that shit.
Jesse.
If you're fucking pro-life,
Jesse,
you back them the fuck up their entire fucking life.
Jesse.
That's what I'm going to say.
How many of those people that you're talking about right now are probably thankful that they're actually alive right now? What would be the percentage? If you had to give or take?
Dude, this is my big issue.
Stop it. No, you just had your rant, man. And I don't know what I am, if I'm pro-life or if I'm pro-choice. I don't know what the answer is to that.
I'm so upset.
I'm just saying,
this.
man, after listening to that rant that you just said, man, the fact that they have life and if you like hold on, stop.
Just give them life and then
Jesse,
everything's
can
okay.
Can I talk, please?
Can we help them? Can we make sure that they're okay?
Can you stop for 1 second? And if we go off the basis of what you believe when it comes to God, and that there's nothing after life, or there's nothing that when if you believe that there's nothing happens after you die, then they would be thankful at the fact
it's a weird way to say things,
that they're actually living and they're a part of this. And not only that, but the fact that they're just living and being a part of the society.
This is my problem with this state of mind.
My wife just texted me. We're being a little loud. I'm sorry.
This is my problem with the state of mind of people who think that who are pro-life. Is they go, hey, you can't abort babies, but once babies are born, well then fuck them, throw them on the fucking street. Fucking, we won't give them any fucking health care.
That happens
to
regular
babies. We won't give them any health care. We won't give them any education. They're non-accredited fucking high schools.
Johnny, you got anything on this?
No.
Johnny, let me hear it.
Are
No,
you
I mean,
are
I
you
actually-
serious? Are you serious? This is such a huge issue. No, you're pro-life. You're pro-life. Why not back them up? Back them up. Back them up while they live. Back them up while they fucking live. Because their parents had to do that. Back them up while they fucking live a little bit. And they're the four founders of whenever we get old, they're going to have to structure our fucking government.
Jesse, everyone
Like,
has sex.
fuck, man.
Everyone has opportunity to have sexual.
I'm so over this shit. I get so fucking frustrated over this. Like, seriously, if you're fucking pro-life, well then, goddamn it, whenever they're born, why don't you fucking help them out?
Well, you know what? Before they were
Why
even,
don't you fucking give them a little bit of education?
Okay,
make sure their
hey.
shit's fucking
Because
like,
nothing-
make sure they're educated.
Jesse,
make sure they get fucking
Jesse,
healthcare.
Nothing is handed.
No,
Nothing is handed
I'm
to you
so
in life.
frustrated
nothing,
about this.
Nothing is
That's
handed.
what I'm frustrated about.
Nothing is handed to you in life.
That's
nothing.
what I'm fucking frustrated about.
Nothing.
You want to get me in my fucking heart right now, Paul?
My girls are sleeping right now.
Sorry, that's what I'm fucking frustrated.
That's fine. That's fine.
Fucking pro-life?
No, I don't know. I don't know what I am. But the thing is, people have an opportunity. People have the choice of sex, consensual sex. And
Of course.
Hold on. And
people do that shit financially wrong. Okay, so let me redact a little bit of what I'm saying right now. We do a weird thing in society to where we do not give enough education to people or opportunity to where you can fuck, man. Fucking is the best thing ever. Fucking is the best thing ever. But sometimes kids fucking happen, and that is a huge responsibility. And they're our fucking future. They are our future. And I'm a male, and I will never have to deal with bearing a child. I don't have that. I will never have to deal with that. But I will say this right now. How our society looks on kids is so poorly done.
how does that have anything to do with abortion?
Because if you can be like, hey,
If you can, so Jesse, I'm just hold on. No,
so-
you've had your turn. So you think that if you and your girl have sex, you and your girl just you and your girlfriend have sex, you guys are about to have a baby. It's completely okay that you two had consensual sex and you weren't protected, but yet you want to have an abortion. That's completely that's okay. Hold on.
Listen to me.
Stop.
Listen to me right now.
Stop. Answer the question. You and your girl have sex right now. You have a baby on the way. It's okay for you two to abort it. You guys have been together for how many years?
I don't think I could do that.
How many years? But it's an option, right? You can do it.
It is,
and you should be able to have that option.
Be judgmental.
You should be able to.
Be judgmental.
You should be able to have that option, right?
No, but we avoid the fuck out of that, dude. I pull out.
Sure. But you should be able to have that option. Should you not?
I'm an inner thigh guy.
Jesse, you've been with your girl for however long, 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. You guys should be able to have that option. Should you not? Should you be able to have the
What's
option?
so shitty about our
Stop. Answer the question. You should be able to have that option.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
if you both
female
decide,
should.
if you both decide, you should be able to abort the baby.
Dude, the female should.
That's bullshit.
The female.
Man. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck.
No, fuck you. Fuck
No.
you for that.
We're
Okay.
gonna leave it at that. Because we're not gonna agree right now. We're at the hour mark. We're both gonna disagree to disagree.
This is why abortion's such a gray area.
Yeah, it is. Hope you guys liked the video. The best thing you can do for Talk Junkies right now in this moment here in time of Earth and space is to share the shit out of this video, like the video, to all our junkies out there. Stay fly and ring the bell.